What's up, everyone? Welcome to the Huddle, your weekly playbook where we help you with forward progress in your career. Paul's supposed to be on here, but he doesn't know how to technology today. So he should be popping in hopefully pretty soon here. And we just want to definitely shout out to our sponsors, Divergent Adhesives and the NAFCT. So, in just a few weeks here, we'll be over in Calhoun, Georgia, for the Heat Weld and Flash Cove training. So if you haven't got signed up, get signed up. I'd like to see you out there. And it's not even about me teaching anything. Come teach me something. I'm always looking to learn something new.
Damn, I didn't even realize that time's flying already, dude.
I know, man.
All right, I'm gonna shut all these
Oh,
other ones down.
Paul Stewart has joined. Maybe.
Is he
What's
eating
up,
some food?
guys?
You had a Chinese restaurant, bro?
No, I'm at the place where we hold our board meetings. So I got a board
Okay.
meeting today. You guys already kick it off?
We are kicked
Yeah.
off. Said that you should be joining, hopefully, but you couldn't technology today.
I could not. I was stuck in 4G, and then I finally got to I was pulled over just trying to connect, and it was not happening for me. So
Gotcha. On the
today's,
road. On the road today.
yeah, usually on the board meeting days, I come to the country club where they hold the meetings and called Pterodine Country Club and sit in their media room and shoot the first part of the podcast and then jump. But well, welcome everybody. It's so today's topic was what would we do different if we had it to start over, right?
Yeah, it's a good one, man, because I think we talk about it all too often here, and that's the reason why we're doing this, right? Is to just have these conversations. That way, people don't need to go through the same things that we did.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a lot. I was thinking about this topic earlier when I first seen it, and I was like, how long is this podcast?
Yeah.
Because
Well,
there's so much I would have done differently. But I think we've talked about it so many times. I think I would have, I don't know, maybe jumping in here. Not sure if you guys have already like stated anything, but
We have
for
not
not
me,
yet.
I
anything yet.
would. All right. Well, I'll kick it off since I got to leave early. First off, I would have taken the craft more seriously. The that it was I treated it kind of like a job for a little while, and then when I started subbing, um, I didn't. I it took years before I decided to go get factory trained or any certifications or any real training. I know we talk about this a lot, but I would have made it more of a I would have made more of a plan to get the training and certifications and such that I needed over the course of my first 3 to 5 years. So, and look at it as a long term thing. I mean, looking back now, I wouldn't have probably told you that 25 years later I'd be doing it, doing the same thing.
Yep.
Still in flooring, still doing this thing. When I didn't look at it that way, and I wish I would have. I would have been way more successful early on in my career and understood, you know, more of the end. I would have just prevented a lot of lost money through claims and doing things wrong. been pretty transparent that I did plenty of wrong installs early on, and some of those bit me in the butt, and I had to pay for them. But then I also would have gotten, uh, that's probably the number one thing. And the second and close number two is I would have gotten more financially, I would have tried to get training or went to college, night school or something to get more financially minded early on. I was just like, I'm making this much, I'm spending this much, and that's all I ever looked at. And I never really considered how to properly put quotes together or put bids together, how to put a quote together to a customer in a way that wins jobs, because it's not always about price. And at the time, I thought it was about was price. So I was always trying to be the cheapest guy,
It was always
which meant I
about
was
how much
always,
work you can get, right? It's more,
yeah,
more, more. Gimme, gimme, gimme.
Yeah.
yeah, and always chasing my tail because I wasn't really making much money at that point because I was doing everything. I was just trying to be the cheapest guy. I had one client I bought carpet pad and installed in duplexes for $9 a yard. Materials and labor sold, done, complete.
Sounds like you were busy.
Now this was a time when you could buy carpet for $3 to $4 a yard. Your sculptured. This was a slumlord
Wow.
place, so
Yeah, the stuff that you hold it up to the light and you can see through it.
you could see through it
Yeah.
for sure. It's a better strainer
Looked like
than
a
it is
yeah.
carpet.
There you go. Looked like the night stars.
Yeah. Let's just say it would not black out your windows. um, but I wish I would have understood that part of the business and business in general, and really got educated around that. So I knew how to handle taxes. All this stuff happened after being 8, 10 years in the business is when I started getting educated around things. Um, and by then, it took another several years to really operate in that manner. So, first decade and a half or so of my career, I could have done a lot better by being more focused on my craft and my knowledge around install, and then my financial knowledge. The one thing I did do that I preach about a lot is I did pay taxes and I did have an accountant, and I just give them everything. But an accountant is just a bean counter for your money. It's not like they're doing a lot of financial advice outside of just, yep, you're compliant and you're paying your taxes and that's that. So
Right.
those are probably the two things. And there's a slew of others. I wish, I would have treated my body a little bit better as well. Cause when I was 20, I just felt like I was unbreakable. And put my
Boom.
body through a lot of stuff because I didn't wear knee pads, even though, I knew I should. Uh, just
There's
different things like that. But the two biggest is by far educational based. I would have, I would have done those two things different. And I think I would have found real meaningful success earlier.
Yeah, I feel that one taking care of your body because you're young and dumb. I used to put 250-pound bags of patch on this shoulder and have someone else load me up with two more, and I'm like, watch me go up these 2 flights of steps.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. That is a well. That's a young guy thing too, right? Like when you enter a work crew and the work crew is, let's see who's stronger, who's faster, who's quicker, who does it better. The
Oh yeah.
competition runs stupid. I can't say it runs rampant. It runs stupid, and
That's
guys
why I
will
say
do
young
some
and
dumb
dumb
stuff.
because
Man,
th-
And
you
that
didn't
is
wear
more
safety
of an
glasses. You
age
just
it's more
went.
of an age thing than it is like I think this is probably the same in most places, most trades. Like you just go at it like you're killing snakes early on. So,
I've done some pretty dumb stuff in that, but yeah, You know what's funny is this, that's one of my first two that I wrote down was take or treated my mind and body better. I probably knowing what I know now and where I am now, physically and mentally, I probably would have changed things sooner. Even though it was right on time when I needed to change some things, but I could have planned for a better future, right? Everything's temporary until 20 years go by and you're like, holy smokes,
Well, and
wasn't
the other
temporary.
thing is it's hard to recover from some of it. So like the training, we could have really been a pretty dang big workshop, uh, like a workroom. I was pretty good at recruiting guys and doing that. And when it was my day in, day out job, I mean, I was good at teaching guys stuff. Had I known really the right way to do things earlier and then taken and like implemented some training and certification kind of standards and then took that forward in my business, it would have helped me today a lot better to be, you know, um, more upfront on that stuff. I mean, it's still a deal, I mean, when I say it, I mean training in general, like workforce development for flooring companies who run subs is a real challenge. And all you can do is encourage them. Heck, I think one of our guys signed up for Calhoun for you. He just called me out of the blue and said, "Do you think this is a training I should go to?" And I was like, "Yeah, it's the same one I was going to try to have here, but could not get enough people on board at the right time to run it, to set it up here." But yeah, I do. And he signed up on the at right then.
Nice.
So you should
Awesome.
be seeing Tyler Lalonde there in Calhoun. He's uh, but having a culture of that. So those are some things that would have changed if I would have taken it more serious. And that's been our rally cry here for newer subs or guys in the business is make sure that you have your skill set intact and you learn the business side to make sure you're charging properly and that you have some ways to market and set yourself apart because that's what you're doing when you're bidding work. How can I set myself apart in my bid? So quick caveat, like what I used to think setting myself apart meant was just being cheaper. What I'm actually talking about today is setting yourself apart by having a professional proposal, by being able to prove that you are qualified to do the job and that you check those boxes and that you should be the guy getting the work and then price, not price first. Like price should be you should try to set yourself up where price is a secondary question, where even if you're not the low guy, it's hard for them to decide to go to the with the cheaper guy because you've done such a good job of setting yourself as the expert, setting yourself as professional and presenting yourself well. I did not do those things well and I got chose a lot for being the cheapest. And that is the type of guy that I can't stand, is who I was early on in my career. The guy that just makes the market cheap. One of the guys. And there's
But
plenty of them, but you get
you
my
don't
point.
know. You don't know what you don't know, right? And that's the
That's why you
thing
got to go learn.
is
Yeah.
right. And that goes with what I just wrote down too. Is if you don't spend the time educating yourself, or my first thing I wrote down was would have asked more questions, which kind of leads into that. What is wrong with the industry? Where do I fit in? How can I fit in? Right. And being the cheapest guy, you're like not knowing the rates, is probably why you were cheaper. You just know you kept winning, but you didn't know what you were leaving on the table. And same thing with us is you don't know what you don't know, and all you know is that the numbers you're spitting out, getting you the work that you feel you need to keep you afloat and to maybe take those next couple steps. And that was the we came to that realization that we were under, I don't want to say underdoing ourselves, but we were undervaluing our knowledge and our skill set for a long time.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
like you
And
think
said,
that's kind of
we've all been
common
there.
on the yeah, I think it's kind
yeah,
of common on the new guys until the huddle came along and we're trying to educate. We're trying to communicate to you guys that there is a better way. Uh, setting setting yourself up as the professional expert in your area is getting easier today than it was back then. And it's one of those and being able to like be considered outside of price alone. That was just not a thing back then. How to properly price projects, there was no guidance on. There's still little guidance on it today, but we are doing things to try to change that. Um, there's plenty of financial training out there, but we will be coming out with some. The huddle's going to mirror that with a webinar series, so we're going to do some stuff. We're still executing on all that stuff, guys, that we talked about. But to be able to offer our audience some ways to do what we're talking about, which is do what we're doing now. If you just starting, like if you're 4 or 5 years into this thing, make sure you have the industry training that you've been to and receive certifications if possible. Um, and then getting financially and business minded around your business. Treat it like a business, and we've talked about it a lot. And yeah, I mean that's where I know I could have knocked it out of the park early on. It doesn't take much to set yourself apart, really. Those are the things that I could have done and not used price to set myself apart. I'm a bit ashamed of it when I talk about it because I know it's what hurts other tradesmen is guys that go out after 6 months or a year being a helper, and you go out and you say I'm an installer and I'm going to start bidding work, and you start bidding it and getting work cheaper than anybody else would do it. To you feel like you're making some money, but the real truth is you're not, and you're running your marketplace.
Right, and that's why I don't get mad when people ask about pricing for stuff. You will go on Facebook and people will just tear guys down. If you don't know what to charge for this, you shouldn't be doing it. And I'm just like, man, you must have forgot what it feels like to start.
Well, or they didn't never start the same way. Maybe they started off better, and that's still a crappy attitude to have. You should be like, hey man, DM me, I'll help you through it. Whoever says
there you
stuff
That's
like
what
go.
I
that,
typically do anyways. I don't even bother with comments a lot of the time. I just reach out personally because um I don't know, people will just
it's
it
better.
doesn't matter what you say, they'll just take it some sort of way.
Yeah, for all the guys
People
out
always think you're
there.
coming at them sideways. That's all.
Well, yeah, but it's kind of silly. Like we've all three through our huddle journey here over the last few years have had people reach out to us and us help them through whether it's an install thing or a business thing or how to get started. I had a kid out of Florida. I think it was out of southeast somewhere. I keep wanting to say Florida, but he reached out and was starting his business, and he had a ton of questions, and just being willing to help others is a better attitude. Anyway, I do got to jump off here now. I got 2 minutes to walk down the hall. I just wanted to jump on here a bit and give my few my 2 cents on what I would have done differently, and
And
I'll
I'm
leave
going to
it to
join
you
back
guys.
via mobile. I got to join back via mobile. We got baseball again today, brother. I don't make the schedule. I'm sorry.
Well, guys, do the best and keep up the good work. And I'll chat with you guys later. To the audience, give us a like and subscribe, and
Be safe, brother.
I'll see you guys next week.
All right, take it easy, Paul.
All right, bye.
All right, my son's already locked and loaded, so I'm going to go jump in the truck with him and just get on uh, maybe just audio if the video is sketchy.
All right.
I'll be back in a minute.
But that's one thing. So Paul was talking about like the training and how he should have done that sooner. And with me, it's really kind of a little bit simpler than that. It's my big thing is networking and realizing that a lot of the relationships that you have is what feeds you the work that you need. And getting out there and going to events, even though it's really, really hard because you're working all day and then you don't want to go do these things, but then you have to. Or with us, it's my kids, right? It's my kids always have some sort of event or a practice, and it's trying to find um, ways to make it to everything, and sometimes it's just not the case. And Jordan Verhulst, he was on one of our episodes. He owns an electrical company, Frontier Electrical, and I was talking to him on the phone last week, and he's like, we were over there at that at Pickle and Pin over here, and at that event that you missed, and I was like, bro, I was out of town, so I would have 100% loved to be at that thing. I don't do golf. That's what they were doing over there, so I would have just been hanging out, making a fool of myself, anyways. But a lot of these events that you think don't make a difference actually do, and people have told us before when I've gotten approached and they're like, hey, I'm gonna put your name in for this thing over here. And I'm like, and they say for everything that you guys do. And I'm like, I mean, I don't talk to him much, but it's like I don't think I'm really doing that much. But he's like, man, you guys are at a lot of things. You're always showing up, and you guys do have really good insight every time, you know, they're asking for something. So it's things like that, and just making sure that the people that are around you know who you are, and that goes back to like when we say we were just joining the Grand Rapids Chamber, and Dante sat us down, and he's like, it's not that old school mentality of it's not what you know, it's who you know, because now it's not even who you know, it's who knows you. And you have to go out there and make yourself very prevalent in everything that you can in order to have the best chance of success. And there are construction companies out there that will approach us still at some of these meetings, and they're like, we really want to work with you. um, and granted, some of them are just getting their foot in the door over here too, so it's like, we'll throw them numbers, but if they're not winning anything personally, they can't transfer anything to us because there's nothing there to work on. But just those building those relationships and making sure that people know that you're out there and keep on showing up. And I will say it again, one of the biggest things that we did was sponsoring little leagues and making sure that everyone in the community knew we were out there. And it took 5 years before we got a project, but we got the project. And that project was significantly more than those sponsorships that we paid for. So it's constantly showing up, making sure that people out there know who you are is probably my number one thing. That in business, and I guess I'm still learning, right? And you have to. It's not something that you're just gonna think of it in terms of software. The software that we use changes on a daily basis right now. You'll sign into one of them one day, and then the next day, and you're like, where'd this thing go? And you're constantly having to learn. But on the business side of things, and Paul touched on it earlier when he was talking about, you think you're making money, but all you're doing is looking at that check, looking at the full amount. And a lot of people that I know here personally don't keep track of their expenses. So when you don't know how much you're spending, it's real easy to look at a check and be like, yes, I'm making money. But in the long run, um, when you're not keeping track of things, it's real easy for things to slip through the cracks, and you think that you're making money hand over fist when the reality is the exact opposite. You're over there, yeah, you're getting some checks with some ridiculous amounts on them, but I mean, 3/4 of that is gone before you even get that check in your hand. And it's being able to know and look at the books and not just relying on, like Paul was saying earlier, an accountant is just there to make sure that everything that you're doing is in line, and then for them to file your stuff. Unless you're paying them extra, um, that's a whole nother story. But they're not there to be your financial advisor unless that is what you're paying them for. They're there just to do their job and then keep on moving on. So you have to realize that at some point you have to take time out of your day and start focusing on making sure that you know how to run the business aspect of things. Because if you don't know how to run the, oh, can barely hear you. You have to talk again to see if I can hear you.
I said, testing.
Nope. I think your audio's on the phone instead of your AirPods.
Yeah, let me pause my camera. I'll be back.
So just knowing, trying to figure that stuff out, and then on top of that, it is way easier when you're smaller. I don't want to say it's easier, right? But it'd be easier than when you're bigger. Like, the bigger you get, the more stuff you have to do, and then it's harder for you to focus time on things that you want to. And I'm talking about simple things like updating. Like this year, over the past few months, we've updated our employee handbook, our safety handbook, and then it's just little stuff like that where it's like, okay, I don't have time in the day to day to do it, so I'm gonna end up having to stay after to make sure that all this stuff is put together. And don't get me wrong, I mean, we pay for things like that, but it's taking what they give us back and then making sure that the language in there follows everything that we stand for. So it has to have that preferred foreign touch on it in order for it to be, I guess, necessarily approved by me. Hey Chad, how's it going?
So I can't see any of the chats right now, I don't think, and I don't want to mess with it on my phone while I'm driving. But are you just talking about some of the things that you would have done earlier or
Yeah,
sooner?
what I would have done. So the first thing I talked about was what did I talk about? What I was just talking about was the business side of things
Yeah.
and making sure that you're starting that early on, because I mean, even us, we thought we were doing good, but in reality we were not, right? But you don't, we'll go back to what you were saying, you don't know what you don't know. And then the first thing that I talked about was my biggest thing is networking and making sure that people actually know you're out there.
Yes.
It wasn't even until, these past few years where, and I kind of explained it, where it's like you don't see anything happening for years, and then all it takes is that one project for it to pay off. But it's actually taking your time out, and instead of being like, oh, I'm not going to be able to make it over here, it's, I have to make it over here because I have to show my face at these things.
So that's one thing that I think that I would have done sooner is, instead of fostering relationships, I probably would have spent more time creating new ones, right? Because if you're going to maintain and foster your existing relationships, especially in us, like we started labor only, our focus was keeping what we knew happy. But if earlier on we could have expanded on who we knew and who knew us, we could have could have been in a different position right now, I would think. But that's just one of the things that maybe I would have tried to do sooner or earlier on in the career.
Yeah,
So
and
you
I
people
think
out
my
there that are still shy and not doing it, but then complaining that you're not reaping any rewards from being in the trade, man.
well, and it's the same
There's
thing
the
as oh, and he's gone. It's the same thing as why people say that they don't want to do any training or anything. It's because they're like, well, what is it going to do for me? And going to these meetings does nothing for you either if all you're going to do is stand there in the corner and not talk to anyone. It's the exact same thing. It's what are you going to do with what you're given, not just, hey, since I got this piece of paper, it means that everyone should pay me more or more people should know who I am. It's getting out there and actually saying, hey, I'm trained, I'm certified, this is why you should be using me. And the same thing when you're networking, it's not just going over there and hoping that someone starts talking to you. Granted, I'm one of those people that if you're at a networking event with me, I'm going to introduce you to someone. But that's something that I had to learn myself. I was never really like that. But then the more events I went to, I seen people and they'd approach me, hey, I got someone that you should be talking to. And I started doing that myself. It's like, man, I was at an event and this one there was an intern there and they're like, I'm an intern and this is what I'm trying to do. And I was like, man, there's this person right over there that I think you should meet because I know you already have an internship, but again, and it's not even someone that I've done work with, but I see them around everywhere, so they're
right.
already top of mind. And it's like we may not do work together, but I know he's at everything, so and I know what he does, so you should actually be talking to them because this is someone that could potentially be your employer in a little bit.
Yeah, and what you're talking about too is public events. Even if you're, like you said, making a connection with someone you might not even be completely connected with, right? But if that's that introvert extrovert type thing, and and sometimes stepping out of the comfort zone to help someone else could in turn help you out. And I think I've done that more times than not. Like, oh, who do you need to talk to? Is there someone here that you would like to speak with before the end of the event that you think could help you? And most of the time people say, "Yeah, I really want to talk to this person." I'm like, okay, well, here, let's go talk to ABC and let's work our way that way. Oh, you know these people? Nope, not at all. But I will after this, right? Sometimes a hello and a handshake is hard to forget when it's out of the blue.
Yeah, and I think a lot when it comes to stuff like this, people just automatically think back to when you're in school, right? And the teacher calls on you, and you do not want to stand up in front of the class, and it's just what you got to do, man. If you think back in the large scale of things, that's what they were getting you ready for was to go do stuff like that. And if you just have to get comfortable being uncomfortable because there's a lot of times where we walk into places and we know absolutely no one.
Yeah, 100%. Almost almost all the time, actually, which is okay. If I don't know anyone or a lot of people, it's a lot easier for me to say what's on my mind when those questions come up anyway.
Yeah, and the only way to get better at it is practice. And a lot of the times, I'll be honest, when I'm traveling, I'm talking to the person that's standing in line next to me, or I'm talking to the person that's going to sit next to me on the plane and having a conversation because the more you practice it, the better you're going to be, just like any other skill out there.
Yep, 100. The
So I was just gonna say, like, Jorge and I were just over at coverings, and there was maybe a handful of people there that we knew, but it was a lot of new people. So
Yeah,
We
Uncharted
tried to,
territory for you and him, right? Like,
yeah, and we tried to go on the show floor, and they quickly humbled us and was like, nope, you can't go on until the show starts, and that's like, dang, because when at the other shows, when you have a press pass, they're like, oh, you got a press badge, do whatever you want, basically. But here it wasn't like that. So, we were just hanging out there, and it's like you look over and see some people. And it's like, hey, what's up? How's it going? Introduce yourself and see what people do. You gotta put yourself out there.
gotta put forth a little bit of effort to get any kind of result. Some of the things that people find success on accident, like we say we found success on accident for some aspects, but you can't duplicate what you don't know. And if it just happens to you, then how are you going to duplicate it? Sometimes it's
Right.
just luck.
Hoda says he just linked up this weekend with the NTCA people, and we'll actually have some rock stars on talking to him on his birthday because the next Spanish episode is going to be on May 5th. So hopefully we'll have the art and everything ready and up for that. So that'll be scheduled pretty quick here.
Yeah, I mean May 5th is coming pretty quick, dude. It's all,
No,
April's almost over, man.
it it just started too.
That's what happens when spring and realistically, that's what happens when baseball season, softball season hit.
Yeah,
Everything becomes a blur.
Hoda said they came into town and they went out for some drinks and stuff. And I seen the pictures on Facebook. That's awesome, man. That is one thing too, right? It's the more people that you get to know, just you'll go out of town. Like Jimmy Salisbury, I was in his hometown for gymnastics. I think it was last year, maybe the year before. But I hit him up because I was like, "Hey, I'm gonna be in town on this day. If you're not busy, I'd like to grab dinner and stuff with you." And people are more than happy to make some time. I've done the same thing with Rollin, right? I went over to over by where he was staying. It wasn't super close, but I had to make an hour drive. But still, it's something that since he's my buddy, I want to go and say hi if I'm that close. Jorge says forming bonds and other trades, and it's not. It's really the same trade. It's just a silo of the trade. But I do love that we're talking with more people in those different silos, so that way it's not just the same people that we've been talking to. We gotta all start hanging out together. The tile, the wood, the
You
carpet,
know,
resilient.
that's why it's called an adventure, right? You got to venture out and add more things. One other thing, if we get back over to the actual topic here is, and I don't know if you can hear me, every time a semi passes me or I pass a semi, my signal
It just
disappears. It just straight disappears. I don't know what's up. But through and I'm going to go to the hiring process. Probably be a little more selective on or maybe create a system. There you go. Creating a system on how to hire would probably be one thing looking back at things that I would change. Not saying that it's a bad thing and we had, nothing but bad experiences. I'm just saying that, a quick way to lose close family and friends is to hire them.
a lot of people
Right.
don't know how to separate business and everything else.
Yep. I would say that would be it. Not everybody wants to share in your accomplishments, but not the goals and the steps to get there. And that's why I say that.
But yeah, I mean, I think we pretty much covered everything for this topic. I know you're out and about. Paul's gone, so we'll just cut this one short today. I do want to make sure that everyone is checking out the sponsors. NAFCT, some great trainings. We got that heat welding flash cove training coming up. Did just receive an email too as we were talking that said we have right now 9 confirmed people. So make sure you're gonna get in there
What's
if you want to
the?
get in.
I can't see it on there. What's the actual date?
It is May 11th through the 15th, I believe.
Gotcha.
I actually have to pull it up. Yeah, 11th through the 15th, and sign up. Make sure you get your spot before they're all gone. And then can't forget Trade Tap. Paul's been working hard on this, so make sure that you're ready for it, man. This is gonna be huge once it starts rolling out and we have everything all settled. And I think the biggest thing is people actually having that number saying, yes, I am verified, and here's the proof.
Hey, it's a journey, right? But or it has been a journey for Paul, and he's been working on it very hard, and he's doing a lot for the flooring industry, and kudos to him. And anybody who's just kind of like on the wall or against the fence on checking into it, or even signing up and investing their time into it, it's just time. It's just
I mean,
time. Paul has done a lot of the
Ashlyn,
legwork.
Ashlyn said that she said literally, please, her blood, sweat, and tears are in this thing. Make sure everyone goes to Trade Tat. And then Divergent adhesives because the Divergent is amazing.
Just a bunch of floor nerds trying to find their place.
The glue dude is always there to answer your questions. But I appreciate everyone. Make sure you give us a like and subscribe, follow us, share us, do whatever you have to do in order to spread the word so that way you can reach more people. And the same at the same token, if you don't, just give us a thumbs down. Tell us why. What can we do better? That's what uh that's what we're here for, man. We're not here to say that we know everything. We're here for that constructive criticism too.
Yep, we're here to learn as much as we are to share. I can't even say we teach. All we do is share information. We don't teach. We're not instructing anyone. We're just sharing the information. And if you have some experiences that you can help another installer or help us avoid, share that information, please. We're open ears.
Yeah. So thanks, guys, for joining us this week. We'll see you next week, and then for everyone in Spanish, May 5th, the best day because that's Jorge's birthday. And we'll have some rock stars on here to talk with him. Oh, and Ashlyn said that is our 200th episode. So I don't know.
What?
Maybe we'll have to do like a little giveaway or something. We'll see what's up.
Sounds exciting.
I mean, everyone has been asking about these shirts, Ashlyn. So got to see if we can give some shirts away for the 200th episode or something. But thanks, guys, and we'll catch you next week.
Thank you, everyone.